So this is the Everything is Holy month. Today's talk is the divine in all. So you feeling divine? Are you really feeling it? You feel like walking on water? Feel like raising the dead? Feel like healing the blind? Not so much? Not so much. No, not so much, right? Look, here's the deal. I have to go food shopping and the dry cleaners all on the same day. I need a nap. You know, I mean, like, frankly, I'm exhausted. Raising the dead will have to wait until after the nap. It just does. I am such a human when it comes to things like that. I really am. Did you ever feel that way? It's like, forget divine. God, I can hardly do human some days. I'm tired. You know, it happens. I was thinking about Nelson Mandela because of his passing. And, you know, I thought about all the work that he did. Anti-apartheid revolutionary, politician, philanthropist, president of South Africa from 94 to 99. First black South African to hold office. First elected to a fully representative democratic election. His government focused on dismantling apartheid. He tackled the institutionalized racism of that country, the poverty, the inequality. He addressed racial reconciliation. Politically, he was an African nationalist and a democratic socialist, and he served as president of the African National Congress from 91 to 97. In 1962, he was arrested, convicted of conspiracy to overthrow the government, and sentenced to life in prison. He served 27 years in prison. And then he came out to do the big work that he did, first with de Klerk and then after he was elected president. Bet you he was tired. What a life. What an incredible life. What an incredible life. What a life of strength and commitment and compassion and determination. And he was no different from any one of us. He was no different from any one of us sitting in this room. He said this, he said, if there are dreams about a beautiful South Africa, there are also roads that lead to that goal. Two of the roads are named goodness and forgiveness. Goodness and forgiveness. Those are the two roads we have to travel also, aren't they? In our lives and all the challenges that we have. And it may not be as on the world stage like Nelson Mandela's was, but our challenges and our courage and our determination is the same, and those roads that we must travel are the same roads. Goodness and forgiveness. Goodness and forgiveness. And we travel them as divine beings. Was Nelson Mandela more of a divine being than any one of us sitting here? Was he more of God than any one of us sitting in this room? No, not really. He was a man who said yes. He was a man who said yes. He responded to the events and the challenges around him, and he rose to the occasion. And he said this, he said, I am not a Messiah, but an ordinary man who had to become a leader because of extraordinary circumstances. What an incredible thing to say. And I would say each one of us lives a life of extraordinary circumstances because no two lives are identical. No two lives are the same. No two challenges are the same. Each one of us a unique and individualized expression of spirit, each one of us with our own set of extraordinary circumstances. We have great leaders and great teachers to remind us of who we are and what we can do, and how each one of us can rise above the events of our own lives and transform the life that we are living to become more of who Spirit wants us to be in our own lives. We're the ones that must rise above our own challenges of layoffs, of illnesses, of separations, of moves, of deaths, of losses, of imprisonments, all of the challenges that each one of us face. And we must move through them into a greater expression of the divine as us. And that's what his life taught, that we rise above the challenges that have been thrown our way. And we demonstrate the divine life of spirit as us in form. He said this, he said, it always seems impossible until it's done. I love that. It always seems impossible until it's done. And isn't that the way we feel, really? I mean, sometimes we look at the big things that life is calling us to do or be, and we just become overwhelmed and paralyzed by the enormity of what lies before us. But when we keep our heads down and we just take the next step and the next step and the next step, sometimes it's not that big. It's not that big. You know, we start off, we don't know what to do, and we don't know how to do it, and we don't know how to get there, and we don't know when to get there, and we don't know when to do what to do. The first place that we start is in prayer, always, always, always. The first place we start is in prayer, and then we move our feet, right? You've always heard that, treat and move your feet. Well, that's what affirmative prayer is. Affirmative prayer is affirmative prayer treatment. We start there. And then we are called to action. We are called to do something. And then we get knocked down, and then we get back up again, and we start all over again. That's what we're called to do. That's what Nelson Mandela was called to do. He said this, he said, do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. And that is our life. There's no difference. You know, you get knocked down, you get back up again. It sounds very human to me. I think when I'm down there, that's when I take the nap. But then I get back up again. It sounds incredibly human. It also sounds like God in hiding, doesn't it? Sounds like God in hiding. Sounds like the divine walking around as us, only in secret. Because that's who we are, really. It sounds like the human that keeps going. It sounds like any one of us in this room. No matter what life hands us, right? We respond to it with joy, with humor, with forgiveness, with love and compassion and commitment. And we get back up, and we take another step. And we take another step, and we take another step. Nelson Mandela was an extraordinary human being. He achieved so much in his lifetime, and he deserves to be remembered with great admiration. And when we look at our lives, and when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we're to look with that same sense of admiration. We're to look with that same sense of compassion and forgiveness. Because we are that. We are that. And you know, we need to understand ourselves and understand what our contribution is. I think he did that so well. He realized what his contribution is to the world, and he started walking in that direction. Well, we must do the same thing, discover our own talents, uncover our own contributions, and our own gifts, and we have to meet the world right there. Our gift is what the world is calling for. We have something to give. The world has a great need. We need to meet right there, right there. And it's interesting sometimes for me because I think of, the thing that we want to keep secret, the thing that we don't want anybody to know about us, the thing that we would be so ashamed of if everybody knew in the whole entire world, that's probably the very thing that the world is calling for you to be out in the open. That's probably the very thing that you're here to help other people heal. That's probably the very thing, that thing we're ashamed of. That is the very same thing that we can serve the world by healing, first in ourselves and then everyone else. That wounded place in us, that thing that we survived, the thing that we overcame, may be exactly what the world is calling for us to live as an example of. overcoming that challenge, overcoming that thing that we think that has wounded us so much that we are not whole anymore, that we're somehow broken. It's to heal from that false belief and then be that in the world, to be that triumphant, to be that healed and to be that whole and to be that revealed, that we inspire others simply by our presence, to heal also. I love that. Thank you. Sometimes that is our contribution to the world. It is our contribution to the world to heal ourselves and then to be an example of that healing so that others around us are free to heal. We transform that place within us that we feel is so broken, and then we can facilitate that healing in others. We take the roads of goodness and forgiveness. That's what we do. That's the journey of the spiritual warrior. Nelson Mandela was great at that. He was great at taking those roads of goodness and forgiveness. And he is us. There's no different. Each and every person in this room is a Nelson Mandela in their own life. A healer, a revealer of truth, a great forgiver of humans. We have the capacity to commit, to practice compassion and love and generosity. It's all there. He is us, each and every one of us. I read a story a while back. It was about a monastery that had fallen on hard times. This was a long, long time ago. And it was once a great order where monks lived for years and years and years. And as time goes on and the anti-monastic movement sort of, took over and the secular life took over and people got busier and busier. This is in the 17th and 18th centuries. Well, the monastery got smaller and smaller, as they tend to do, and to a point where it was only the abbot and 4 monks. It was just the 5 of them, and all of them were over 70 years old. And it was a dying order. Let's face it, it was a dying order. Well, it was well known to the men of the monastery that there was a wise old rabbi that lived in the woods. And as the abbot really agonized over the death of his beloved order, he started thinking, it occurred to him, he should go to the rabbi. The rabbi was old and wise, and possibly the rabbi could offer him some advice on what to do to save the monastery. And so he found him in the woods. And the abbot and the rabbi sat down together, and he explained the visit, and the rabbi said, I know how it is. Spirit has gone out of the people. It's the same in my town. It's the same where I am. Almost no one goes to synagogue anymore. And the old rabbi and the old abbot, they wept together. And they read parts of the Torah, and they consoled each other, and they talked of deep things. And when it came time for the abbot to leave, they embraced, and he said, it was a wonderful time we've spent together, but I've still failed in my purpose for coming here. And he asked the rabbi one more time, is there nothing that you can tell me, no piece of advice that you can give me that will help save my dying order? And the rabbi said, no, I'm sorry, there really isn't. I have no advice to give you. The only thing I can tell you is the Messiah is among you. And when the abbot returned to the monastery, his fellow monks gathered around and they said, well, what did he say? What did he say? And he said, it was very interesting. The rabbi said something very, very, unusual. And he said, the only thing that he said was that the Messiah was one of us. I don't know what he meant. And so in the days and the weeks and the months, the old monks pondered this and they wondered. And then they started thinking and they thought, well, maybe it's the abbot. It must be the abbot. The abbot must be the Messiah. Who else could it possibly be? And we need to treat him as such, We need to treat him as the Messiah would be treated. On the other hand, maybe it's Brother Thomas. Brother Thomas is a pretty holy guy. He's a man of light. He always knows the answers whenever we come to him. Maybe it's him. And then they thought, well, maybe it's Brother Elred. No, he's a crotchety old fart. It can't be him. Can't possibly be him. He never has a nice thing to say. But what if it is? What if it is him? You know, when he does give advice, he's often right. Oh my gosh, maybe it's him. Maybe it's Brother Philip. Oh no, it can't be Brother Philip. He just never even opens his mouth. He's so quiet and shy. He's not even hardly there. But maybe Philip is the Messiah. Of course, the rabbi didn't mean me, they thought to themselves. But maybe he did. Maybe it is me. No, it can't be me. I'm just an ordinary person. And yet, suppose he did. Suppose he did. And so as they continued to contemplate this, strange things started happening at the monastery. They started treating each other with reverence and awe. They started acting as if they were the Messiah in form. They started changing the consciousness of the whole entire monastery. And the monastery was in a beautiful place in the countryside. People would come and visit and picnic on the grounds. And they started feeling a change in the monastery itself. They started feeling a change in the consciousness of the area, the love, the support, the reverence, the awe that was practiced among these 5 men was so palpable that the place became magnetically attractive. And people started coming more and more for the beautiful energy and for the beautiful surroundings. And one by one, people began to join the monastery again. And it became a thriving and wonderful place, a place that they had always known that it would be. You know, this is what we're creating right here. This is our monastery. And this is the practice that we have, one for the other. Tim, what if you're the Messiah? Andy, what if you are? Eileen, what if you're the Messiah? Lucy, what if you're the Messiah? How would we treat each other if we knew who we were? And that's the truth. That is the truth of us. And thankfully, that was the truth of the rabbi's gift, to remind us of who we truly are. The divine is in all. The divine is in all of us. We are all the saviors of our own lives. We are all the Messiah of our own lives. We are the ones that the world is calling for. We are the place of healing that the world is so desperately seeking. It is up to us to remember who we are so that we can be the healing of the world. Right where you stand, the world is a better place. The world is healed by your presence in it. That was the gift of the rabbi, to remind us that the divine is in all, not some of us, all of us. And Ernest Holmes said this. He said, mental science does not deny the divinity of Jesus, but it does affirm the divinity of all people. It does not deny that Jesus was the Son of God, but it affirms that all humans are the sons and daughters of God. It does not deny that the kingdom of God was revealed through Jesus, but it says the kingdom of God is revealed through you and me. The kingdom of God is revealed through you and me. So this week I invite you to know the truth of yourself, to stand in front of the mirror in the morning and affirm the truth for yourself, that the divine lives in you, the divine lives as you, and know that for each and every person you meet this week. Thank you so much.